Hello, I'm Retro Grey, and welcome to the Crash Bandicoot bonus video, where I discuss some fun facts and trivia, as well as my overall thoughts on the game. Crash Bandicoot was created and developed by Naughty Dog and published by Sony Computer Entertainment on behalf of Universal Interactive Studios. It was released for the PlayStation in late 1996. Despite having made games previously such as Rings of Power for the Sega Mega Drive/Genesis and Way of the Warrior for the 3DO, Crash was Naughty Dog's first major hit. Crash began his life as a wombat called Willy the Wombat. During development, Crash was given the codename the Sonic's Arse Game, as the camera would often show Crash's backside. Naughty Dog would eventually settle on Crash Bandicoot. Marketing executives didn't like the name Crash Bandicoot and wanted Naughty Dog to change it. Naughty Dog threatened to drop the game altogether if the Crash Bandicoot name did not remain. At the time of release, Sony CEO Ken Kutaragi hated this game. An animated TV show was in the planning stages at the time of this game's release. Crates were used to fill in boring parts of the level. Wumpa fruit is a combination of apples and mangoes. The intro. A traditionally animated video was created for use as the game's intro. However, it went unused and Naughty Dog went with a different intro using the in-game engine. The original animated video can still be found online. I'll put a link in the description. Insanity Beach. This level contains an entirely pointless metal crate. Even the instruction manual says that you should ignore this crate. Seriously, it's pointless. Jungle Rollers. The box art for both the NTSCU and PAL versions feature an early version of this level. The Great Gate. On the yellow gem path you can see the other two islands in the distance. Boulders. This level was inspired by the iconic scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. This level appears in another Naughty Dog video game, Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 4. Nathan tells Elena he could beat her high score on the game. You actually get to play this level on that game. Upstream. In the Japanese version, all platforms excluding the Venus flytraps are increased in size. Papu Papu. In the Japanese version, Papu Papu takes 5 hits to beat rather than 3. Hog Wild. In Uncharted, there is a plane called Hog Wild. This could be a reference to Crash Bandicoot. Hog Wild and Whole Hog are the only 2 levels in which the Aku Aku masks cannot be taken into the level. Any masks obtained before entering the level will be lost once the level begins. The Lost City. The exclamation crate at the end of this level spawns 2 invisible crates nearby. When they spawn, they are immediately broken. This is the only time in the entire series that this takes place. In the Japanese version, this level contains the red gem instead of the green gem. Temple Ruins. This level has the most crates in the game. In the US and European versions of the game, this level does not have a bonus round. However, the Japanese version does. Road to Nowhere. It's possible for Crash to jump on the ropes and walk on them. A lot of people use this strategy to get through these levels without dying. However, I tried this and I failed, so I just stuck with the original plan of just jumping on the planks of wood that will fall down. Sunset Vista. This is the longest level in the game, but in the prototype, this level was even longer and harder. Koala Kong. In early concept art for this game, Koala Kong had spikes on his wrist. Just like Crash, Pinstripe and Ripperoo, Koala Kong is based off of a real Australian marsupial. Tiny Tiger also fits this category. He was originally meant to be in the game but was cut due to the technological restraints at the time. Generator Room. There is no N on the forehead of Cortex when he appears on the TV. Pinstripe leaves a message on the final door claiming to be the CEO of Cortex Power. On this door, his name is listed as Pinstripelli Potterotti. Toxic Waste. This level was very likely inspired by Donkey Kong. The High Road. In the background, Cortex Castle can be seen. Now this can also be seen on Road to Nowhere. The strange thing is, in the High Road, the castle is the same size as it is in Road to Nowhere, which doesn't make any sense because you're now much closer to the castle. This level is cut to half of its length in the Japanese version. Slippery Climb. In the prototype version, there are more platforms and this level is much harder. I definitely do not want to play the prototype version of this game. This is the only level to contain a non-Torna bonus round without also containing a Torna bonus round. There was a more difficult variant of this level called Stormy Ascent. It was ultimately cut from the game due to being too difficult. However, you could still access this with a Game Shark device. The level would later reappear in the HD remake Crash Bandicoot N. Sane Trilogy. Lights Out. This is the only instance in which a coloured gem is required to acquire another coloured gem. This is one of the shortest levels in the game. In Naughty Dog's Uncharted 4, there is also a level called Lights Out, which could be a reference to this game. Fumbling in the Dark. Random fact, this is the only level in the PS1 series that contains 4 words in the title. Jaws of Darkness. This level has the most hidden boxes in the game. This is the only level in the game that requires a coloured gem from a previous level rather than from a later level to access the gem path. Embryo. The name Embryo is a play on the word embryo. Including the blobs, Embryo has the most hit points of any boss battle in the game. The Lab. Terrifying fact here, I'm kind of glad that they left this one out, to be honest. Early level design documents included failed Ripperoo clones as minor enemies. They were planned to surprise attack the player by suddenly jumping towards Crash from out of view. The Great Hall. This is the smallest level in the entire series. Strangely, the 6 coloured gems that you collect are nowhere to be found on the gem path. When the player reaches the end where Torna is waiting, you will notice that she is wearing a green skirt, but when they fly away, her skirt is suddenly blue. Torna was ultimately redesigned as the Universal Studios marketing director complained that the initial design was too outrageous. Naughty Dog was not happy with the end result of her design and removed her from their sequels. Neocortex. Dr. Neocortex is named after the section of the brain called the neocortex. This part of the brain is thought to be responsible for attention, thought, perception, and episodic memory. Credits. This game was made in memory of Tae-Min Kim. Tae-Min Kim was part of Naughty Dog when they developed Way of the Warrior for the 3DO. I'll just start by saying I love Crash Bandicoot. It was one of the first games I owned on the PlayStation 1 when I was a kid. I was absolutely horrible at the game then. I'm a little bit better now, but back then I couldn't get through the game without using passwords, basically, at least for the gems. I could probably get through the game without worrying about collecting the gems. I'm pretty sure as a kid I didn't even know how to collect the gems. I knew that they were there because of the passwords, but I had no idea how to get them. But I loved everything about this game, and a lot of the reasons I loved it back then are the same reasons I love it now. The graphic style is amazing for the time. You've got to remember this came out in 1996. It was developed by American developers that were developing for a Japanese system. The instruction manual for the PlayStation 1 for developers was in Japanese. So Naughty Dog had to figure this out themselves and make this game. And I believe that they've done an astounding job making this game. It's really colourful, the character designs are cartoony and inviting and was super appealing for 6-year-old me. The music was amazing, I love the soundtrack, I still listen to it from time to time. It's just one of those things that gets stuck in your head and I find myself whistling to it or humming it to my kids. The actual gameplay itself, now you have to remember, like I said, this came out in 1996, for a system that only been on the market for a short period of time, developed by American developers that probably, as far as I'm aware, didn't know how to speak Japanese, but I could be wrong on that. But the fact that the jumping and platforming in this game is so sound. Now, I did encounter a couple of weird things here and there when I was playing through this time. Nothing that was game breaking, but really just the accuracy of the jumping in this game and the platforming is amazing. Now, is the game difficult? If you're trying to get 100%, yes, absolutely. Some of those levels are absolutely killer. There are levels that took me anywhere from like 20 to 40 minutes, multiple tries to beat. There are a few levels that I got so frustrated I had to stop playing and come back and try it again basically the next day. However, what I will say is I never found the game to be unfair. If I was failing at a level, it was my fault. It was because I was rushing, because I was angry, getting frustrated, I wasn't paying attention to the platforming. Maybe I was tired, and often when I'd come back and I'd be refreshed, I would find that I'd get through the level a lot quicker. So yes, it is difficult. It's not unfair. It can be done with a bit of dedication. But should you play it currently in the current climate, if you can find a copy of this game online, or if you've got a PlayStation 1 and you've got Crash sitting around, go and play it. It's an amazing game. I had a blast playing this. I can't wait to play through the rest of the series, but I need to kind of break it up so I don't burn myself out on Crash. But yeah, absolutely. Go and play this game.